Ruben Amorim, welcome to the Premier League. Because Manchester United just, I was gonna say suffered, but it's somewhere. It's something. We just drew 1-1 with Ipswich Town at the away, so take of that what you will. But it was Ruben Amorim's first game as leading as Manchester United manager, and it didn't go quite as expected. But I do have some main takeaways that I think are positives, and then some that I think Manchester United need to watch for into the new Amorim era. But let's get right into it. So this is the starting formation that Ruben Amorim's Manchester United went into against Ipswich Town. And so as you can see, you have Rashford up top, Garnacho and Bruno acting as floating tens. And then, like I explained in my earlier video, which you should definitely go watch, you have two wing backs and then two CDMs. And then finally you have a back three and obviously Onana. So this lineup, first I want to say something. This was a very new work in progress lineup. Since Amorim just arrived, he's only had two training sessions with the team so far. So this lineup is really based off who he's had more time with, because some of the people who are not here were came back a little later from international break, which is why he didn't have as much time with them. Anyways, so this is the lineup that would be led into. And like I said, it's a very experimental, a very work-in-progress lineup. And you can see that because you have some players who, you wouldn't expect them to be playing where they are, or even playing at all. Like, going into this match, I did not expect us to have two CDMs playing as Eriksen as Casemiro. I think that was a big problem today, because they cannot deal with the speed of the Premier League at all. But I understand why Ruben Amorim chose them, because Amorim is still trying to learn about his team. This is what he knows. And then Diogo Dalot obviously didn't do as well as he should have done today, but again, he didn't have as many people as he wanted in his possession. And then this back line of Evans, De Ligt, and Mazraoui, I really don't think that this is Mazraoui's best position. I think that I made this clear multiple times during the game, that I think that Mazraoui should have swapped with Ahmad, and Ahmad should have been playing more centrally, because in this position right here, Mazraoui isn't getting to play as maybe attacking and as wide as he wants to, and Ahmad is not receiving enough service from everyone. Like, a lot of times, Ahmad was more isolated and the ball was away from him. So I think that Ahmad should play a little bit more centrally. Maybe Garnacho on the left, at the left wing back. But there are other options too, so I understand whatever Amorim chooses to do. But the main problem I saw was Eriksen and Casemiro in midfield. These guys are too slow for the Premier League. I mean, together they have a combined age over 70. That's actually insane. And to have these two running on midfield is crazy. And so then you also have Rashford on top, which I'm a bit iffy about, because I feel like Rashford is he doesn't have the work rate that you need in an Amorim system. He's not going to be digging deep, finding those pockets, and he's not going to be I don't know the word. He's not going to be that breathless number 9 that Amorim system needs. And so I don't know if I want Rashford playing up top, because I think Rashford's much too lazy. Playing Rashford here would probably, where Garnacho was today, would probably be a little bit better, since as a kid he doesn't have to do nearly as much work. But honestly, Rashford as a whole, I'm not sure how much I like him in this team, in this system. I don't think that his work rate is good, and I think he's way too lazy. He doesn't have what it takes to be a Manchester United player, which is how I feel about a lot of people in the squad. He doesn't have what it takes to be a Manchester United player. He hasn't proved he has what it takes. He doesn't have it anymore. He doesn't have it anymore. And he hasn't proved it yet. He's still proving it. And he still, all these years later, is still trying to prove it. And it's not working. Marcus Rashford, once a wonder boy, and now I really don't know what's gone wrong with him. But what I would have preferred us to go in today with I'll start with what I think that we should have gone with, and then I'll say what Ruben Amorim actually ended up doing. I think that we should have had Mason Mount in the camera. I know that Ruben Amorim has worked with him, so he should be he should be ready. And I know that Ruben Amorim has not worked with his player, which is why he didn't start. But I really, really want Hoyland to play. I really do. And then, but if you're not going to choose Hoyland, I think that you could probably actually go with Ahmad up top. And it sounds crazy, but I think that if Ahmad's staying up top, then he's going to get a lot more of the service he needs, and you go with Mazraoui here. You start Shaw from the beginning rather than subbing him in. I think that's a lot better. And then kind of brings up a problem, who do you play here? I guess you kind of have to play Johnny Evans because you don't have someone to work there. I'll talk about that later, but Manchester United are currently dealing with a lot of injuries. And then finally, instead of Diogo Dalot, I will let Garnacho play, although I will entertain the idea of having Anthony on one of the wings. And then finally, I will take Ugarte. If you leave Casemiro in, I think that's completely fine, but I think that he has time. Manu wasn't called up, so he had time to work with Manu. I think that Manu should have played today. I think that this is the lineup that Manchester United might have gone with. And if you guys think that Amad Diallo playing up top is a bit too out of pocket, is a bit too crazy, then swap him with Mount and then play Hoyland up top. I think that Mason Mount has a lot in him in the tank, still left in the tank. Or that doesn't make sense because he's not that old. But I think Mason Mount has a lot to prove and a lot that he can do, and I don't really want to leave him out of the squad. But this is what I think with our current players Manchester United should have gone with. But I completely understand why Ruben Amorim did what he did, because obviously he's lacking a lot of players. But now the real substitutions he actually did. He took off Shaw. He put on Shaw, I believe. I'll check. Let me see if I'm getting this right. If I'm not, then correct me. Evans went off. Who was here before? Oh yeah. Evans went off, and Shaw came in for him. So that leaves Mazraoui here. And then Ugarte came on. Manu did not. I believe that Mount was actually playing here. And I believe that Ruben Amorim did say that he'll play Mount in any position. So that's interesting. We'll talk about that later. I know that Xerxes came on for Garnacho. And Hoyland came on up top. I believe I got it all. Yeah, so in the end there, this is... Wait, no, Garnacho shouldn't be playing. I forgot who I had here before. I believe it was Dallo. Yeah, so this was what Amorim was playing with after, like, the 60th of the show minute. How did this happen? Ahmad. And I do see some, and with this, I do see some immediate improvements, because, like, you have Mason Mount did pretty well. You have Luke Shaw, a lot better than Johnny Evans. I think that was a very good move. You have Rashford going off, which I also think was a really good move, because Rashford was not giving it all. He was letting players get past him. You have Ugarte coming on, which is really good, because he's very good at breaking up that play. He's not going to allow Ipswich to breathe as much. And then you have Xerxes, and I kind of like Xerxes playing behind the striker, because he's a bit slow, he's very lazy, so I prefer him playing here, since he's basically playing in slow motion. But he does have that skill to run, getting passes through. He has the skill. And then Bruno Fernandes, obviously, the entire game, he was a star man. He was playing so well. He was, what do you say? He was controlling the game, basically, for Manchester United. And I think that this was an okay lineup, but I don't really have anything big to say about this because, like I said, this was a very experimental match. In fact, this was kind of like a training match. It was like Amorim was trying to get his system through to the players. He's trying to figure it out. Some players have been here longer than others, and he threw out a very experimental squad. And I think that this draw might actually be very good for Manchester United because it's not a loss, so we shouldn't throw off our confidence and everything. But it's also not a win, so we shouldn't have that fake confidence, and we shouldn't be thinking that we're better than we actually are, because getting stronger through losses is better than thinking that we're much better than we are and then not giving it our all later. And that was actually a problem still with the players today. I think that the players they were listening into the media. The players hear the media, and they heard people saying, "Oh, Ruben Amorim's going to revolutionize Manchester United. He's going to fix them." And maybe the players that got to their heads, and they didn't work as hard today. Because for this being a new manager's first game, this was disgusting. This was horrendous from the Manchester United players. It didn't look like they were giving it at all. And at this point, instead of pointing our fingers to the manager, we might have to start pointing our fingers to the players. Because these players are not fighting for the badge anymore. They're not showing that same energy, that same commitment that you need to have to the club that we saw in olden day Manchester United players. Not these lazy players who should be playing, honestly, in the Turkish league or something. Because the Premier League is not for them. And if they're going to play in the Premier League, then they need to do much better than they are doing right now. Because that is not enough. And they are not giving it their very all. And if they want Manchester United to succeed, in which I know that these players are players who love winning trophies, they should want the club to succeed, then they will continue to have to give it their all. And if they don't, that's up to Ineos to, I don't care, spend big. Spend big if you need to. Sell out the players. Just get rid of these players who are not giving it their all. Get rid of them. And I'm looking at you, Marcus Rashford. So please, I believe that this Amorim era, it's not over. And I've seen a lot of Manchester United fans acting really reactionary. They're saying, sack Amorim, you should have left Ruud in, you should have left Ten Hag in. No, that's not the case. Because this is a building step, and I believe that Amorim can still take this squad to great heights. So, let's go, Reds.